After the 18th video, it had been about 2 weeks. One thing I had learned is when Danny says something, Prince Daniel Humberg means it, with no ands, ifs, or however about it. It would be his way or the whip. Stern and strict he was, and far from being lenient. I had just finished cleaning the study and was laying at the ring when he came into the room. I looked to him and healed. Study, center the room, he said sternly, and I crawled into the study and healed. What are you? He asked me. Your kitten, my master, I replied quickly. Do you feel you are trained? He asked me. Honestly, your girl does not know that answer, my master, I replied. Fair enough. From this day forth you will clean my office, these 2 rooms, and be back in this room before 9 passing, he told me. May your girl speak? I asked. Speak, he then said. Forgive your girl, my master. However, what of meals and that to drink? I asked, as he did not mention either, and I could not eat or drink without his say. Surprisingly, I was allowed to go to the rest area. I will continue to give both to you as I see fit. When I call for you, will know to come to me, he said to me. Thanks to my master, I replied. Leave, go clean my office. Mindy is there, and she will assist you, he told me, and without another word, I crawled out, and after leaving his sight, I stood, and then I found myself right back into the chambers. I did not notice. I obeyed his order without thinking. I truly was not thinking. I was without clothing on. Now I know authority need not be clothed. However, I had been free for over 20 passings of a year and got accustomed to wearing clothing when others were about. I crawled back into his study where he was sitting. He looked at me as I healed. What are you doing back in here? He asked me. Forgive your girl, my master. However, your girl is without covering, I said to him. Do you obtain my collar? He then asked sternly. Yes, my master, I replied. Then what else need you? Fetch your whip, he said sternly, and I had displeased him, or he felt I needed to be disciplined, and I found myself getting the whip and offering it to him. As he took it, I knelt. Please discipline your girl, my master, I said, crying. He struck me 3 times and snapped his fingers. Now replace this and do as I say, not as you think to do, he ordered. As confusing as that sounded, I understood him. I took the whip and replaced it, and then moved quickly out of his study and down to his office. Now the fun really started as I entered, and lo and behold, Miss Attitude herself was in his office. Miss Get Out. I stood looking to her. So now she had a name. It was Mindy. Greetings, my mistress, she said to me, as if we had not met before. I shrugged. Greetings, I replied. As you would see, this office now is how it should remain, down to the smallest of detail. If anything is not as it is, then you place it as it is. Understand? She asked me. I looked about the office and then to her. Yes. So is it already cleaned? I asked. Yes, my mistress, it is. You dust the furniture and items, stock the bar, make certain all is clean and in order, and make certain everything is in place where it is at this moment. If something is moved, then fix it, she explained. Thank you, I said to her. I also wish to apologize to my mistress for the time when we first met. I beg these forgiveness, she said with a smile. Granted, I laughed. You no longer hate me, for I am doing my own duty, which I did not at the time think it to be my responsibility, I told her. You are his kitten. You are the only one allowed in his chambers and study. I am his office girl. However, he says you will be keeping this office for the next following week, she said, and I healed as I saw Danny at the door, and she did the same. You two get into a dispute, and one will be in the field, I heard Danny say, entering and sitting at his desk. Yes, my master. Your kitten apologized to her mistress, my master, she said, and Danny looked from me to her. Good, then you can show your mistress about the palace. As you will well know, I allowed her not out of my chambers, and now she is, well, we will say, trained. Dismissed, he said, and waved us both out of his office. Yet before we could leave, he detained us. Mindy, he called. Yes, my master, she replied. Show your mistress to the kitchen, and there she will have her lunch. Also, girl, you may drink what you like with the exceptions of alcohol, he said. Yes, my master, thanks to my master, I replied, and then with the wave of his hand, I crawled, following Mindy out of the door. Was closed. I raised. Not the Danny Lee you are used to, is he? She smiled. No, not at all. I could almost forget he loves me, yet I know he does. He just has not said it, or even shown it, for over a month now, I said, and tears came to my eyes. He does love you, my mistress, she said with a smile. Yes, and as he owns us both, can you address me as Patsy? I asked. I could if you had that as a name, she smirked, and I laughed. Right. Forgot about the no-name thing, I said with a laugh. Once you get it back, I promise, as long as our master does not disapprove, I will address my mistress as such. However, until then, no way. She laughed as we entered the kitchen, and I got to actually feed myself lunch. That day, Mindy took me about the palace and showed me the I don't know why that word is, don't look at me, Bear, the recreation room, and I found my sister. As we entered, she was playing cards with another and stood coming over to me. Patsy, she called, and ran over to me. I looked to her as she grabbed me, and I grabbed her. Mistress, all due respect, my mistress has no name, Mindy said. Jolene laughed. Still, she said, yes, he has not given me a name as of yet, I replied. How is it going? Jolene asked. It is going. I am not as afraid of him as I feared I would be. However, I do fear him, I told her. It will pass after the orders submit, she told me, and I heard someone clear her throat, and we looked over to Lorelei and Emmy. Now, without thinking, I moved to my knees before them. Greetings. Let's do not interfere in something we should not, Emmy said and looked to me. You are owned by my brother and of the circle. Need not heal. Stand up. We are friends, remember? Emmy said with a smile. Right. Forgot. I laughed. We have missed you. Has he released you from his chambers? Laura asked. I think so. He said I could venture, so I take that as a release, I said. Then you're mine, Emmy laughed. Yours? I asked. Yes, come, she said. Where are we going? I asked. To speak to my brother, of course, Emmy said, and we all followed her up to Danny's office. As we entered, I moved to my hands and knees and crawled in and healed. Danny looked up from his desk. All right, jamboree taking place in here, and no one informed me of such? He asked, and in a tone that was of the Danny I knew and missed hearing for the past 30 days. Sure, you slide across the floor, saying, and we will do a jig, Emmy laughed. All right, little sister, what is your damage? He asked Emmy. Yeah. Release Patsy from your chambers? She asked him. I will say I released my girl from my chambers for the time being. Why? He asked her. She needs to learn offense and defense of the circle. When do we get to start teaching her? Emmy asked. When I give her submission, which I have not, he said to Emmy, and was back in that I am master voice. I could tell the difference, the two sides of Daniel Humberg. I will say that Danny Lee is not Daniel Humberg, even if they are one and the same. So, if I ask if we can start, the answer will be no, Emmy asked. She is one day in my office, Emmy, he told her. Come on, Danny, please, Emmy asked, moving over to him. All right, I will send her to you. However, remember, she has not been given submission, he said. Nor a name, gotcha, she said and looked at me. Come on, sis, she laughed and moved out of the office. I did not move as he had not dismissed me. She turned and looked from me to Danny. Obey, he simply said sternly, and I crawled out as we left his sight. I stood. What did he mean I had not been giving submission? I asked. Means you are to assume yourself as authority. However, what he does not see does not concern him, Lorelei said, and I laughed as we all moved down into the practice area. Ever held a sword, bow, staff, dagger? Emmy asked. No, to all above, I replied as Bartina and Juanita entered. Wonderful, Laura laughed. Look, it is Patsy Lee, Bartina said and placed her arms around me. No, it is Danny's girl with no name, I replied to her. Oh well, no name. What are you doing here? Bartina asked. I talked Danny into letting her practice with us, Emmy said, and I looked to Jolene and Mindy. Since she has never held either, my mistress, would not hand-to-hand be a good place to start? Mindy asked. Yes, Laura agreed. And that night, I had never hit the ground so many times so hard as I had that day. They were teaching me to, as you say, fight. Yes, it was very overrating. I did get good at blocking their punches. However, it was 7 passing of the second sun that I was saved by Emmett and Law. They came to get Bartina and Juanita, and the others followed. I moved out of the practice area into Danny's office, yet he was not there. I looked at Brian and smiled. May a girl speak, Master? I asked him. That just sounds wrong. Yes, he said, laughing. Where might my master be? I asked. He took out of here, and I am not sure, he said. I sighed. Thanks to master. I moved up to his room. I wanted to take a bath so bad, and I could not without Danny's allowance. I laid at that ring for about an hour when I heard the door open, and I healed as Danny entered. He looked to me as he took his sword belt off and jacket. You look very tired, he commented. Forgive your girl, my master, I replied. as I was not sure if he was displeased or not. Forgive you for what? What did you do that my sisters allowed and pretty well ordered? He said sternly. I was lost, mind you, and really did not know how to answer him. However, he had told me I was not to be as if free, and I had been all day. I moved to the whip and offered it up. He looked to me strangely, taking it. I then knelt. My master, please discipline your girl, I said, crying. Actually, all I wanted was a hot bath. My body ached in places I did not know it could. I used muscles this day I knew not I even had. Girl, heal, he ordered, clearing his throat, and I healed tears in my eyes. What is wrong? He then asked as he continued to undress out of his uniform he wore. Your girl fears her master's displeased, I said, crying, unsure as to why I was crying, or even feeling this way. Right. First it is my master, not her master. This is the only mistake you've made so far as I know this day. So tell me why I have been offered a whip, he asked. Your girl was not following my master's orders with my master's sister, I told him. That is up to my sister. As long as I am not there, I could care less, he said. I really just wanted a hot bath and to relax. My master, forgive your girl. May your girl please take a bath, I asked. Yes, and from here on, if you wish to bathe, you may go, he said, and with relief, I crawled slowly into the bath area and ran my bath. Stepping down into the warm water felt so relaxing on my arms and legs. It was not long before he was in there and giving me a bath, as he also massaged my legs and shoulders and back. Afterwards, he carried me to the bed and laid me on it and rubbed my body down with cream. I felt the muscles relax. Thanks to my master, I replied. You may remain where you are this night. I believe the ring would do more harm than good, he said, and I laid beside him. I drifted off to sleep in his arms. Chapter 40. I woke hearing voices from the study. They were Mike's and Danny's. You do know you are the most horrible person alive, right? I heard Mike say. Apparently last night was a mess. They want their sweetheart, and they know you have her, Mike said. I moved to my hands and knees and crawled into the study. As I entered, I heeled next to the door. Then they will get what they want, Danny replied, looking to me. Well, face it, little brother. You have went from Danny Lee the heartbreaker to Danny Lee the asshole. Pretty good achievement there, Mike said, laughing, and looked to me. Morning, kitten, Mike said to me. I spoke not a word. Yes, delightful, if I do say so myself, Danny said with a laugh. Go get your breakfast in the kitchen, then start on your duties, he told me. Yes, my master, I replied, and crawled out of the room. I knew they were talking about me. I did hope that if he placed me back on stage, he allowed me clothing. Then I was getting used to not wearing anything besides his collar. I went to the kitchen and got something to eat, as he said. Then I moved to the office and into it, beginning to dust the furniture. Moving the items off the desk, I dusted, then replaced the items. Then I dusted the books and so on, then swept and mopped the floor. After I finished the office, I moved back up to the chambers and cleaned it, then the study. I then moved back into his office and healed, as he now sat behind his desk. Girl, come to me, he said sternly, and I moved to my hands and knees and over to him. He grabbed the back of my head by my hair and jerked my head back. I cried out as it hurt. "Forgive your girl, my master," I cried, unsure as to what I had done. He then had me to look at the desk. "Tell me what is missing from this desk," he asked. Crying, I looked to the desk. The end basket was missing, and also his pen holder. "The end basket and pen holder, my master, please forgive your girl," I said, crying. He slapped me, letting go of my hair. "Get them," he ordered. I turned to the shelf where I had placed them and placed them back on his desk. Still crying, I heeled at his feet. It had been about 5 weeks, and I was scared to make a move without his allowance, or the wrong move. I was surprised when he placed a one-piece garment over my head. It went down past my knees. "I will not be here tonight until late. I will allow you to remove this garment. However, do not place it back on. I am only allowing you to remove it, for you may bathe tonight. My sister is in the gym. Go to her," he said. "Thanks to my master," I replied, and moved to my hands and knees and wasted no time getting away from him as fast as I could.